Welcome back, everybody, to Tea with Empress. Thank you guys for joining us again tonight. We have a great topic tonight, and we can't wait for you guys to sit and listen. So let's jump on in.
Yes, ma'am.
You know,
I'm looking
okay.
forward to this.
So yeah, I got my handy dandy blanket. Um,
Handy dandy blanket.
yeah, it is my handy dandy blanket. I'm so
Bring
happy
it
to
out.
have, huh?
I said, bring it out. I'll bring mine.
I am such a blanket type of person. I think I get that from my mom. I am such a blanket type of person. Like she walks around with a blanket, and I'm just the same. Like I don't care if it's 100 degrees.
This is
And we
my
were just
baby.
talking about Tuskegee.
Yes, I go to the same university. Well, excuse me. I am an alumna of the same university as Derek Jackson. Okay. Yes, yes, I am. It's okay. You know,
Speaking
we have
of Derek Jackson,
okay.
our topic for tonight is unhealthy and toxic relationships. And we're gonna kind of dabble into when should you get out of an unhealthy or toxic relationship?
Ooh, baby.
Right. With Derek Jackson
Look,
in the
I can go on and on and on. So you just let me know when you're ready for me to come in. 'Cause
right. So with Derek Jackson being in the spotlight right now, um, oh, I was together. But with Derek Jackson being in the spotlight right now, with his whole debacle, with his relationship, then the craziness from the lives that not only he has done, but his wife has done, the random car videos that he is doing, it just sparked the conversation of these toxic relationships. And you and I have talked a little bit, probably a good bit about
Mhm.
his background with this unhealthy relationship because you went to school with both of them. Um,
Well, I went to the same school, but at different times. I know people who were there while he was there. And
mhm.
I will say, I honestly have never heard a positive thing about him. And this is not even recent. I'm talking about in recent years, like
Mhm.
in the past 5 years or more. I have never heard his name in a positive light from people who have seen him. And so I can't speak firsthand because I don't
Yeah.
know this man. I don't.
Yeah.
So yes. Um,
So kind of going back into a toxic relationship, a toxic or unhealthy relationship is essentially a relationship where you're with somebody and they are demeaning you in some type of way, they are belittling you, and it's just not a positive relationship. The behaviors of your
mhm.
partner can be either physically damaging, emotionally damaging, spiritually damaging. All of those are really, really toxic. And some signs of toxic relationships, or as they say, like on IG, the red flags, to me is like not being supportive, the lack of trust and communication. If you feel drained or depressed in this relationship, if they're avoiding you, right? If they're like one of those people that can take, and never give, toxic. Or if they bring out the worst in you, toxic. And like the continuous disrespect. I mean, I could go on and on and on about stuff that are signs of toxic relationships. I just anything that is having that negative, if I feel like there's a negative environment, the energy is negative, for me, I feel like it's
Mhm.
toxic. I feel like I should have a
Mhm.
warm and loving feeling from not only my spouse, but any relationship that I'm in. Like, yeah, we're talking about toxic relationship, but you know, relationship is more than just
Family, friends,
Yeah, relationship, family, friends.
so much.
Those are work
Work.
relationships. All of those are relationships, and if they're toxic and unhealthy, we need to talk about it. We need to address it.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, the first thing that I would truly like to say, if you say you know who you are prior to walking into this, say, a relationship of any sorts, like you know firmly who you are, and now you're wrapped into this ongoing relationship with anybody of any type, and you begin to lose who you are as a person. Like you feel that discomfort within yourself. You start to second guess yourself, question yourself. You start when you start doubting yourself, those are those triggers, or I don't know if I should say triggers, but those are those, like you said, red flags of something is not right.
Right.
Because anybody surrounding yourself with should uplift you and not necessarily validate you, but bring you a sense of knowing, like, okay, this is exactly where I need to be, where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
No one should be shaking you up to the point where you just completely feel like you're starting to spiral out of control. That's how you know you're in a toxic relationship of any sort. If you are seeing yourself pull away from the person that you've been building yourself to be, you need to reevaluate it. And it hurts because I've been seeing this personally. I've been seeing this personally with some people that are dear to me for years, how they, even if they're not even in the same relationship, like this is more romantic side, because that's not the only time we see it, but it's a
We
good,
see it more
there's
often.
still good. Yes, unfortunately. And I think after that, I really say work. I mean, no, it's I think I can hear it at all stages, whether it's your romantic, friends, family, and work. Like I think we hit all of them. But this individual is not even with this said person. It's been years, but yet they are still pulling at their life and bringing unhappiness. And a lot of times in these toxic relationships, you see the definition of insanity. And I think we all know the definition of insanity, like doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. And yet you know exactly what you're putting yourself into, and you're just hoping and praying that this time will be different. And you end up being even more crushed than before. And you don't what is it, the little rat wheel? Like you're this never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
And if you just, you might actually be able to view life a little bit differently. Like we need to normalize putting ourselves first. And I know a lot of times, like I remember that very first video, I brought up how someone said they prefer loyalty and respect over love. Why do we put that together? Like, why do we have to separate that? Yeah. Like, we should not normalize outing love and accepting respect and loyalty. That should all come together. So we are really moving very differently in this generation. And it terrifies me because I don't know where we're going. We are losing ourselves and we can't. Like we just cannot. And I love it. And I'm not even gonna go on the godly spiel. I'm gonna go on the spiritual spiel because this is all individual. This is individualized. We gotta remember who we are. And if I can, and excuse me, we gotta remember who the fuck we are, okay? Please. You need to do some soul searching and we have to be, we're not real ourselves anymore. We want to keep lying to ourselves. I can't deal. Like, I just can't deal with this anymore. I really can't.
Right.
I've been through relationships. I have seen the worst in me with other people, and I'm seeing it with, like I said, my loved ones. And I'm just fed up at this point. I am. I should see people's glowing and happy, not just on Instagram, but in real life, because of the people that they're dealing with. I should not see them at their lowest and trying to front on IG like they good and they really not.
It's crazy that you talk about glowing and stuff. I see a lot of people say, and I've even heard it myself, that once I've gotten away from a certain, I'm gonna say energy instead of the person, but a certain energy, they're like, oh, you're glowing. Like, what are you doing? What's going on? And it's just like, you don't even realize that you are glowing because you're happy and you're away from everything that's pulling you down. And I've even noticed, and I'm okay with saying that I have been a toxic person in a relationship. I have brought out the worst in other people. And I'm okay with saying that. I'm okay with knowing that there were certain relationships that I had expectations, and because that person wasn't meeting those expectations, it's just we were going at it, and we brought out the worst in each other. And so I would say both of us were very toxic, but I had a part in it too. And I think a lot of times in our community, our women are not owning up to the fact that sometimes they can be just as toxic as a male. It's not always that man's fault. Not taking the blame from the man, but in each scenario, there's always more than one person that plays a role in that, And so I think like we need to, one, stop trying to play the blame game of who is the most toxic and just take responsibility for our own actions in each relationship. Because if the relationship is not meant for us, and if it's not meant, if they're not our soul tie or whatever, if you don't believe in soul ties or whatever, but if you believe that God has our soulmates, whatever it is that you believe, if that person is not meant for us, honestly, in my mind, I feel like we're going to be toxic to one another just because we're not meant to be aligned. I feel like even with
you forcing it.
Huh?
I'm saying and people are trying to force something that's not supposed to exist.
Right. And you're forcing this and it's causing the friction. And that's where the toxic stuff comes from. That's where it's like you're bringing out the worst in me, or we're always fighting and we're always going at it. But if you are connected to that person and I go back to Lauren London and Nipsey Hussle and how she just said he made her feel safe, like that she could her no matter what. There was that friction wasn't there, so they weren't toxic with one another because it was meant. It was in the stars. It was the line that they were supposed to be together. And a lot of times, I just feel like we have to own up to our own toxic traits because everybody was born with good and bad traits. You're not always going to be perfect. You're not the perfect person in a relationship. Sometimes in a friendship, you may not realize, okay, I've said something and my friend is just like, I didn't like that. I didn't like how you made me feel. Heck, even in with parents, I can go on and on about in the Black community how we are very toxic to our children, and we have these generational curses, and it's hard to grow past that. I feel like in our community, we can't own up to our downfall. And if we can't own up to our downfall, we can never grow, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree with everything you're saying. Like, we need to do a lot of self-assessing, self-evaluation, have a lot more self-awareness. I saw a post yesterday that confirmed what I've been thinking about for months now, probably even years, how it said that men need to be in therapy more so than relationships. But when I reposted, I said, this goes for both men and women.
Yes.
A lot of us are searching for a loved one. And for one, when it's that type of obsessive, like you got to be in a relationship, like that's like a red flag. Like, how much do you really love yourself and appreciate yourself to be alone for momentarily? Like, do you really know who you are before you just go and jump into a relationship? And so that, I completely agree with that statement. A lot of people need some type of therapy, and we can look at therapy in so many different ways. Your therapy can be a nice walk with
Yes.
with spirit, or doing yoga, or doing something for yourself.
Right.
Some type of self-care can be considered therapy. And then like actually doing like talk therapy with a therapist. But we need to have some type of self assessment before we know we're ready to go into a relationship. I believe that when you are at the point to be in a relationship, it's because you love and appreciate yourself first enough to know what you deserve to go out and get what you want. So you can attract that. Okay. And not saying once that happens, it's going to be all perfect and dandy. Like you brought up Nipsey Hussle and Lauren London. I'm sure it was a beautiful relationship. Like we saw it in her eyes. We know it. We know it for a fact. But it's not to say they didn't have little arguments here and there, but they were mature enough in their relationship to communicate through it.
Proper communication is a non-toxic trait.
So it's not saying you're gonna be perfect in that relationship and y'all not gonna argue or have y'all moments, but are y'all mature enough in that relationship to actually talk about it like adults? Okay,
right.
We are all grown out here. Let's act like it. And running from relationship to relationship is not going to help fix your inner demons that you will not address. Only you can address that. You cannot search for somebody to fix you. Right. You have to do that.
Like I hate the whole saying somebody completes me. I don't like that because I'm like, it should be two complete parts to a relationship. Why do I have to find somebody to complete me? Why can't I be complete before I get into this relationship?
Yeah. So, that's
You're right. It's funny you were talking about oh man, what did you say? You were saying going out and searching for these relationships. If it's not coming to you, it's not for you. And people say stuff's not going to fall in your lap. And I understand that to an extent. I feel like you have to put yourself out there to get certain things. But at the same time, I feel like whatever is for me is going to come to me.
It's for you.
So I just coming when you were talking about like not forcing stuff, when it came to, I look at it, every job that I've had in my adulthood, first of all, I didn't get a job until I was in college. I looked for a job left and right. My daddy pushed for me to have a job. He was first of all tired of me asking for money, but he pushed for me to have a job so much. By the time from 16 to 18, he pushed all the time for me to get a job. Never got a job. And I realized every job that I have had, I've never had to go out and apply for it. It's come to me. But when I've been in between jobs and I've been searching for a job, I've been putting out resumes. Like I used to put out resumes so much and nothing would ever hit. Nothing would ever come of it. But it would be like, I would just be out and about or something and I saw somebody or I'll talk to somebody. And they was like, oh yeah, we need a job, whatever. Like one of my jobs that I worked in at when I was in project management, it was, they called me. I didn't even know how they got my resume. So I look at it the same when it comes to relationships. Like forcing stuff is very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy when it comes to like saying, hey, you know what? I just got out of a relationship 2 weeks later. I'm already back in another one. Whoa, pause. Did you take time for yourself? Did you get back to who you were? Because we get in these relationships, we lose ourselves, and then it's hard to we find out what we like. And I feel like you need that time to say, hey, what do I like? What
Mm-hmm.
is it that I love about myself before I get into this next relationship?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I've had friends where I've told them like, "Yo, you just got out of a relationship. You already back in one." Like I haven't
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I haven't been in a relationship. I want to say in about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that. I mean, I would love to be in one, yes, but at the same time, I don't want to force it because I've learned when I've
Mm-hmm.
tried to force it, it's been epic fails.
One thing that I truly believe that someone has told me about before
Hmm.
is when you're on your path, like your God given, your spiritual path, like your purposeful path
Hmm.
in life, that's when things like use like things don't just fall into your lap. Like you gotta go out there and work for it in a sense. But it's like when you're doing what you're meant to do, what you're like with you're part of your purpose.
Right.
That's when like you literally attract. That's I mean I can't I cannot. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but when you're on your path, you will attract what belongs to you. What's for you
Yeah.
is for you. Like yeah, don't be sitting at home moping about your life.
Right.
Go and go and figure out who you are and then go out into life. Okay. And then you will see the beauty of it.
Do you believe
Because
that you can go from a do you believe that you can go from a toxic relationship to a positive relationship within that same um relationship? Like if say for instance I'm with we'll go back to Derek and his wife. Do you
mm-hmm,
believe that, and this is just from me looking outside looking in, I personally feel like they're in a toxic
mm-hmm,
relationship. I personally feel like she is in one of those get out type of situations and she needs to get out.
mm-hmm.
But do you
No,
believe
I
that it,
agree.
yeah, like do you believe like it could move into a n- new and positive environment like with the proper therapy, or do you think once toxic always toxic?
And so I don't want to say once toxic, always toxic. That's just saying like 100% point blank, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Who, so I wish I can give you some numbers, but I think it is a very slim possibility. But I think it can be possible
Hmm.
if both parties are willing. And I already know the two that's going to be a lot
Yeah.
for both to really truly I mean absolutely get down to the nitty gritty and really create that healthy foundation. They will literally have to almost completely start over of who they are.
Yeah.
Like both is like they would have to do like individual soul searching, and not really like I don't want to say like they have to be separated, but they will have to both have ample amount of time to themselves to learn who they are and reintroduce each other to themselves. And this is what it was. That I kind of want to say like I don't want it to ever get to the point for anybody when they have to hit rock bottom
Mm.
to realize that they are in a toxic relationship and it's time to step away. I would never wish that for anybody,
Yeah.
nobody. I would hope that, because that's just the thing. When you're in a toxic relationship, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people can hide it well. Some
Hmm.
people can actually hide it very well, but others cannot. And so for the ones who can't hide it and it's really out in the open, you're going to have your loved ones, I mean, your family, your friends, like you might even have people who you don't even know might
Saying
come to
something to
you,
you. Hmm. I
and
have
that
that.
should really hit. And you might even snap back at them because they don't know who they're talking to or who they're talking about.
Right.
They need to stay in their lane. But at the same time, I mean I can't say, but I sense that deep down, even they don't want to realize it, they know it's right. They know it's
It
true.
is. It is. I've had plenty of people tell me that you need to get out of this relationship, and it's always like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him to drink. And you can tell somebody all day until you have no more breath in your body. Your throat is dry. That you need to leave this person. But until they are ready to leave that person, they're not going to do it. And it's sad because I even look at domestic violence situations. And even with those women, people say, how can they say, how can they say? Well, have you been in that situation? Do you know what it's like to be in that situation? Sometimes people stay for whatever reason that they stayed. And it takes until they are ready to go, until they are fed up for them to leave. And it's the same that I feel with toxic relationships. Sometimes it takes God forcing the situation. Sometimes you can see it on your own. It's so funny. I'll be seeing stuff on TikTok and it's like, it said something like, oh, my ancestors trying to tell me it's a red flag, it's a red flag. Nah, I'm gonna need another side. Until like it was the guy like fell out the chair or something, like God had like bopped him in the head and he fell out the chair. And I'm just like, I feel like that's how we as a people are. We say we want these signs, we say we want all of this, but we fail to actually
ask for.
like we get the signs and then we ignore them. And they were like, oh no, they can be better. They can be better. They can't. Stop expecting stuff from people.
You asked for it. I'm gonna really show you now.
Right. I'm gonna really make, and that's even with jobs. I've seen people get fired, but it'd be crazy because they got fired, but they were happy because they was like, I ain't want to be here no way. Why you just didn't leave? Why you didn't leave?
And you need a lot of people need that extra push.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And so like that's why like it is what it is. Like you said, you can take the horse to the water, you can't make that horse drink. Can't make that person actually do what's best for them. And a lot of times it's one of those situations where you can speak your piece, and if it doesn't fully resonate with them then later down the line.
I feel like in our community, I feel like, and like I said, I can't speak on anybody else's community because I'm not a part of their community. But I feel like we allow ourselves to stay in these toxic relationships and we praise the toxic relationships. I think I said this the other day on the other video, but like wanting to be in a positive relationship without having all of the headache or the backlash or the cheating and the disrespect. And I feel like we glorify toxic. Like, say for instance, girls be like, man, I don't want him. He not hood enough. He not thug life enough. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I've always said I want me a thug, but I want me a changed thug. Like I want him to have a little to him. But I need him to be classy and sophisticated, but he need to have a little swagger to him. But I feel like girls be wanting that dude who
We think the good guys are boring.
We do.
We want
the safe and the good is boring. The toxic is what's fun for us. I don't get
it. Like we crave drama. Like we like. I mean, think about what we look at. I mean, I can't say we because it's just I ain't never cared for it. I mean, maybe in high school. But like reality TV shows, look what we look at every single day. Of course, we're conditioned to want that craziness.
Yes, that's true. And reality TV has gotten so bad lately. Like it goes from shows where like the Cosby Show and My Wife and Kids, hey, even That's So Raven, shows where you have a 2-parent household to now, and that was like our main type of shows. I don't even remember, the only reality TV show I remember from when I was growing up was Rev Run's House or whatever it was, but they still had that marriage, and it might just because I didn't watch TV that much. But that's the only really reality show that I remember. But it was still, they were married. They had that household, that family, they sat down together, they talked
You
about
saw
stuff.
values.
You
Like they
did.
had
And that
values.
show didn't last. Why it didn't last? Because it was
Wasn't that drama?
right, no drama. But like the reality TV shows that are out, it's like families are fighting. Which side? No, families fight. It is what it is.
But
But
you know, they overreact, they over dramatize it because they know that's what the viewers want.
right,
Yeah.
or when they talk about relationships, they have right, like unnecessary stuff. But like relationships, people are going out. They want to have their little whole pass for the weekend. They want to do this, this, that, and the other. Like I just don't understand why it is or who started the whole trend in our community that we need to have an unfaithful, an unhealthy relationship. And people say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I definitely believe it originated from just how they try to split up the black household and things
Oh
of that
yeah.
nature. Um, Anything that is detrimental to the black race, I feel like it was planned. That's
I
just
mean, what is it?
my view.
I can't remember the first name, but the Lynch. I want to
Willie
say Jimmy
Lynch.
Lynch. Willie Lynch. Um, yeah, this dates back centuries.
Yeah.
This was an agenda. So, and we're looking at a whole experiment. This
Yeah.
is the outcome.
This is the outcome. And then people are raising their kids to be toxic. Like they're raising their daughters to want the fast life or want the man that don't really care for them because they're allowing them to see a man not care for their parents.
Mhm.
And it's just like a continuation of bad cycles, us wanting this type of relationship. Heck, I found out today that somebody I knew, her mom recently got shot in the head by the boyfriend.
Oh no.
And over some dumb stuff. And it's just like when and you I don't understand. I'm not saying I don't understand domestic violence. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I don't understand how we can continue to dismiss those red flags before that stuff happens. Because I feel like in every relationship, those red flags start to pop up. Even when I said I was that toxic person, I noticed when I started getting a little out of character, and I was like, it is what it is. I kept pushing it to the side. I'm even saying that for myself. So, and I ignored.
You be along with that because I've been in that place before as well. Not saying we weren't both toxic, but
right.
I you know when you feel yourself being pulled out of character, like okay, wait a minute, let me check myself real quick.
Right, and you shouldn't be in an environment that way, no matter where it is. And I even say it with family, like we may be blood, but I can't allow somebody to raise my blood pressure. I can't allow somebody to elevate my blood levels or whatever it is and get me out of character. I don't care who you are. I just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But when is the best time to get out of these toxic relationships?
Immediately.
Right.
Enough to do it.
Right. But it's hard. It's a lot harder said than done.
But it's like
easier said than done.
The longer you're in it, the harder it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Like we heard that before, and we always want to give the benefit of the doubt because we love them. Oh,
they just had a bad day. They was going through something.
So it's like the longer we wait, the harder it is. That's when it really gets hard. And because we're the strongest at the beginning, to be completely honest, that's when we're the strongest. And that's that love, but you don't respect them. We deserve both. Okay. And so I think our biggest fear is being alone and not thinking that we have something better out there, and we truly do. Like I am a strong believer in everything in my past. Even if I dated some really amazing people,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's still this one guy. It's been a couple of years now, and I admire the relationship that he's in. It was not toxic at all. Like it wasn't. But I just knew I said, "Oh, this is gonna be it." Like, oh, this is
Yeah.
perfect. But we didn't belong together, and we
Mm-hmm.
like there was someone out there that he could not deny his love for, and I'm grateful we were friends beforehand. I let him go, and so but I told myself then I was like, if I even had an ounce of that type of a connection with somebody, I was like, oh man, whatever I got coming after this, like, oh, this is gonna be
Right.
like, and I still believe that to this day. And for whatever reason, like it's still things that I know I'm supposed to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's normal to want to love and be loved. There's nothing wrong with you for that. But we're not going to settle. And we've said this before in the show before. We are not settling, okay? That's what we're not doing in 2021. We're done. We're not settling.
Let
You
that
got yours.
keep
It's
that in
out
the
there.
past. Keep that in the past. Like it's disheartening to see our women, our black queens, and our black
Oh
kings. Because
man.
let's be honest, these queens can be a little
There's some good
toxic
men
too.
out there.
There's some
And
exceptional men out there.
they're tearing down good
Right.
men. And that's the crazy part about it too. Like a lot of people become toxic because of other toxic people. Like you have some toxic people that are tearing down good people and turn them to toxic. And like the cycle just keeps going.
Right.
They can't heal from their past hurt.
I have a friend that said, based off one of their previous relationships, they were never going to be romantic anymore. They were never going to do for women what they used to do. And I'm just like, no, don't be that way. Just because, and it was a continuation of, right. You were dealing with toxic women. Let's just be honest. And or sometimes the relationships just didn't work out. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I hate to see, because I'm a big advocate of black love. I'm a big advocate for black love. I
Mm-hmm.
love to see it. I just love it all the way around. So people say, "Oh, you don't like this and the other." I prefer black love. Like that's just my preference. I love to see it. It is beautiful to me.
Don't hate me for it.
Right. If you hate me for it, it's your opinion, because this was my opinion. In life, we're all about our own opinions. So I just feel like I hate to see us, like you said, settling in relationships and allowing people
Mm-hmm.
to demean us and degrade us and just treat us less than kings and queens and gods and goddesses, because that's what we are. If you're not treating me like I am a black queen or a black excellence, and I have a piece of God within me,
You gotta go. Like
you have to. And
you're not gonna undermine my worth.
you're not. And like you said, it's quicker. I was recently just talking to somebody, and usually a trait that I would do is I would stay with somebody just to, oh, they'll get it together. But with he and I was just like, I mean, I'm cool without you, bro. Like I've done this. I've done the whole, let's see how. And I don't. I took it as, man, I'm too old for this. But it's really, you get tired of not not having somebody make you feel like you as worthy as you know you are.
We don't have time to waste time. Like we just don't.
Say it again. What you say? Say it again.
We do not have time to waste time.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
said,
I just want to make sure
believe
everybody heard that.
believe them the first time. We have to stop giving the business of that, especially when you have voiced it. Now, it's one thing if you ain't voiced it, that's on you. But if you have voiced it, you have communicated it, you have said it in every language that they could possibly
Drawn a
understand,
picture,
and they
diagram,
still
whatever, stuck it to their forehead.
let it go.
Yes.
Do not waste your time and your energy. You are too valuable, kings and queens, okay? let it go. And then don't let them make you feel bad about it either. Because they
Right.
will. They will try to drag you.
For
But
you having your own opinion, for you having your feelings. Like, how that's toxic.
then they're gonna try to do better. You can't trust that.
You can't. That's one thing I hate. Don't tell me after I told you how I felt or how you've made me feel. Because one thing I have learned in therapy is I normally tell people what their action, how it made me feel,
Mm-hmm.
and what I took from it. And so don't undermine my feelings and don't make it seem that my feelings are less than or not validated. And or
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, I'm gonna do better. And then within 2 weeks, you still not doing better. Now, granted, it takes some time for somebody to change. I get that. But if somebody really wants to change, they
Mm-hmm.
will start the next.
Mm-hmm.
They will start that very same moment. But if they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna do better," and you don't see the action behind it, believe them,
Mm-hmm.
believe them, and get on out because there'll be somebody who will do better.
Always. Always.
These people trifling. They can be very trifling. I feel that with Derek and his wife.
And
Jeez,
so we see so many examples day to day.
we do. Like I have friends that I talk about this with. I have coworkers that I talk about this with, and I personally want to talk about more happy relationships. I have one coworker who
Mm-hmm.
she talks about her husband so well. He talks about her so well.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And they're an older couple. I love to see that. I want to see that more so in our younger group of people, like in the
And
younger
that's what we
generation.
have to normalize.
Right. Talk to these older people. Talk to them about their relationships and the positive. And they'll tell you all day. Like one of mine, she'll tell me all day because I'll be like, man, like just the way you talk about him or the way he will drop everything and do something for her. But she's like, we went through it. We had our tough
Mm-hmm.
times, but we went through it. Through we got through our hard times and now we're great. Or I just love to hear that. And I have noticed, watch who your friends are. Watch who your
Mm-hmm.
friends are because I've had a friend who, or a coworker, who was in his 20s, early 20s, and he was already married. I think he got married like 21. And the other guys were trying to get him to go out, trying to get him to, you know, be fast. And he was just
And
like,
that's where you have to be comfortable with who you are and not allow other people to try to change your character.
right.
Like it's not you can it's like you can never go out again, but stand strong in who you are enough to say, nah, not this time, but I got y'all.
Right. And like you said, like you can go out, but they were trying to go out with the intent to find women, knowing that this man was married. You know this man. First of all, they were married too. They were old married men trying to get this young married man. Like, why you married? Why you get married so early? Why you? Can we normalize happy marriages? Can we normalize happy
Please.
relationships? Whatever type of happy friendships. Can we not stay in friendships just because we've had history? It's a them friendship breakups are worse than relationship breakups. I'm just
Oh yeah.
it hurts so
Like,
bad.
we have a whole list of things like moving forward to talk about that we need to see in a healthy like conversation. We need to normalize more.
Yes. It's normalize healthy behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Normalize a peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Normalize loving yourself, caring for
Mm-hmm.
yourself before you care for somebody else. Love
Mm-hmm.
yourself first. That's how you're gonna get rid of all that toxicity. Like,
Exactly.
make sure you grounded. Go stand yourself outside in the grass. Become one.
No, but seriously. And then you don't realize you ain't got time for that no more.
Right. And don't let kids come into play because that really make you realize like and from it just really made me realize like I don't
Mm-hmm.
have time. I don't have time. I don't want my child to see me acting a fool over somebody. Because
Mhm.
I got students who see their parents acting a fool over another man or another woman. I'm just like, for me, that's my breaking point. If my
You
child
gotta
sees
take
me
into
doing
account
shit
what they
that's
train their
unhappy,
thing.
right? If that's my breaking point, and that's it for me.
If you have a peace of mind, then you can step out of a toxic relationship.
You can't.
When you
I hope
truly
you
have a
can.
peace of mind.
Yes, when you are truly ready to get your peace and be happy by yourself, and know that you just know you can be happy by yourself. You don't need another
Mhm.
person, another being to be happy. Everything you
Nope,
need to
nope.
be happy, everything you need to be at one and at peace is already within you.
Mhm.
So when you have all of that, you will never allow yourself to be in another toxic relationship ever again. And you will never allow anybody to put you in a toxic relationship. And so my hope is for every single Black king and queen that we realize these red flags, and we realize when we are being toxic, and we realize when we need to make a change for the better.
Mhm. Exactly.
I
If you
love
know
you
who you
all.
are,
Huh?
I'm about to say, if you know who you are, don't let anybody shift that away from you.
Don't let it. It's not worth it. So I love y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching with us. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode tonight, and we will be back.
See y'all next week. Haha. Make sure y'all like and share.
And
We love you all.
subscribe. Mm, I don't know how to really rock, so bye.